Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going way back,
Way back.
19th century Persia, to explore the early days of the Babi religion.
Okay.
And what makes this deep dive extra special is that we'll be drawing mainly from firsthand accounts.
Ah, that's fantastic.
Like we have a time machine.
Yeah, it's one thing to read about a history,
Right.
but to hear it straight from the people who lived through it,
Exactly.
hear about their hopes, their fears,
Right.
those firsthand struggles, it really brings history to life.
Totally. And this story is set in a Persia that was really like buzzing with religious fervor.
Oh, yeah.
Both Shia and Sunni Muslims were eagerly waiting for the arrival of the calm,
Right.
kind of a messianic figure.
Yeah, and I think to fully grasp the significance of this, we need to understand that while both Shia and Sunni Islam are rooted in the Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, they have a key difference.
Okay.
They disagree on who the rightful successor to the prophet should be. And that division really created a climate ripe with messianic expectations. It became fertile ground for new religious movements to emerge.
So into this charged atmosphere steps a young merchant named Syed Ali Muhammad,
Okay.
who declares himself not only the promised Qam,
Wow.
but also the Bab,
Bab.
which means the gate
Okay.
to an even greater figure yet to come.
Wow. Talk about a bold statement.
That's a big statement.
And what's so fascinating is that his early life, didn't necessarily scream future religious leader. I mean, he was a merchant, a seemingly ordinary guy, which maybe made his declaration even more striking.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what people were thinking.
I know.
So how did this seemingly ordinary guy
Yeah.
convince others that he was the real deal?
Well, there were many stories that captivated his early followers.
Okay.
One that stands out involves a pilgrimage to Mecca.
Okay.
The Bab was carrying a saddlebag filled with his writings, and it was stolen in the middle of the desert.
Oh, no.
Right. Now, most people would be
Yeah.
freaking out.
Totally.
But the Bab, he just keeps praying.
Really?
Yeah. And then he tells his servant
Yeah.
not to worry because he says that these writings, thanks to this mishap,
Okay.
will actually reach places they could only dream of.
So he sees the theft as a good thing.
Exactly.
How does that work?
Well, this incident reveals a core belief
Okay.
of the baby faith,
Okay.
that God works in mysterious ways
Okay.
to further his plan.
So basically.
So for them,
Yeah.
the theft wasn't just some random act.
Yeah.
It was divine orchestration.
Uh-huh.
It was meant to happen to ensure that the message spread even further.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a powerful way to reframe a negative event.
it is.
So who are some of the other key figures drawn to this movement?
Well, one of the very first to believe in the Bab was Mullah Hussein.
Okay.
And he was so moved by the Bab's teachings that he left everything behind
Wow.
to spread the word.
Oh, yeah.
His dedication really set the tone for the kind of commitment
Yeah.
that would characterize the early Babi community.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to leave your old life behind and embrace something so new.
Right, especially when it challenges the existing order.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's Qadis.
Yeah.
And his devotion is illustrated in his actions during the pilgrimage to Mecca.
Oh, really?
He chose to walk
He walked?
alongside the Bab's camel the entire way.
Wow.
Yeah, prioritizing the Bab's comfort over his own.
Wow. That's,
Yeah, these weren't just empty gestures. They were
Wow.
really outward expressions of a profound inner belief.
powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't only men who flocked to the Bab, right?
There was also Tahiri,
Okay.
a brilliant female scholar,
Okay.
and she defied social norms to champion the Bab's teachings.
Wow. A woman in 19th century Persia advocating for religious reform?
Imagine that,
Yeah.
challenging traditional interpretations of Scripture.
That's incredible.
Her courage and her intellect made her a powerful voice for the movement.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we've got this charismatic leader,
Yeah.
a growing band of devoted followers spreading this message that's really shaking things up.
Yeah.
What was the reaction like from the religious establishment?
Well, imagine you're part of the religious elite,
Okay.
and this young merchant comes along, claiming to be the promised one and challenging centuries of tradition.
Yeah.
It's safe to say they were not thrilled.
Put it mildly.
Yeah, things got pretty intense.
I bet.
The Bab's imprisonment in various locations
Oh, wow.
really showed that.
Okay.
There's even a story about a figure called the
Okay.
and he predicted
Okay.
upon meeting the Bab his own death.
Oh, wow.
3 months and 9 days out.
That's eerie.
I know.
And did it come true?
It did,
Oh.
which really cemented his status as a spiritual figure.
Yeah.
And it fueled the belief in the Bab's divine mission.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, though,
The story doesn't end there.
not at all.
Right.
Remember, this message was radical for its time.
Yeah.
It challenged the established power structures, both religious and political.
Right.
Conflict was inevitable.
Okay, buckle up, everybody, because things are about to get a whole lot more dramatic. Right, we'll be right back. Okay, so we've got this powder keg situation.
Yeah.
The Bab's teachings are gaining traction.
Right.
The authorities are getting nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And conflict seems pretty much inevitable.
Yeah.
So where does Baha'u'llah fit into all this? Was he like the Bab's right-hand man right from the start?
Well, it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
You see, Baha'u'llah,
Yeah.
who's a respected nobleman at the time,
Okay.
was drawn to the Bab's message pretty early on.
Okay.
And he became a staunch advocate,
Right.
even using his influence to protect fellow babies from persecution.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, but their relationship wasn't just blind allegiance.
So they weren't always on the same page.
Not always, no. What kind of disagreements did they have?
Well, remember, the Bab was calling for a really radical shift in thinking,
Yeah.
challenging traditional interpretations of Islamic law
Okay.
and advocating for equality between men and women.
Okay.
While Baha'u'llah fully supported these core principles,
Yeah.
he sometimes favored a more gradual approach to implementing them,
Okay.
especially given the really volatile political landscape.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see how pushing too hard too fast could backfire, especially in a society that's already kind of on edge.
There's this fascinating account of a conference in Badasht
Okay.
where the Babis gathered to discuss the movement's future.
Okay.
And it became this hotbed of debate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some, like Quddus, were urging bold action
Okay.
to defend their beliefs,
Okay.
even if it meant armed resistance.
Wow.
Others, like Baha'u'llah, cautioned against that kind of confrontational approach,
Right.
advocating for a more measured response. Yeah, so there were definitely tensions within the movement.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying to find a path forward while facing all this growing external pressure.
Right. And of course, their leader is imprisoned.
Exactly.
He can't directly guide them.
Yeah, so the need for unity and a clear direction was more critical than ever.
So what happened?
Yeah.
Did they manage to bridge those divides?
Baha'u'llah actually played a key role in reconciling those different viewpoints.
Okay.
He appealed for unity,
Okay.
urging his fellow Babis to prioritize the Bab's message of love and justice
Okay.
over their own personal interpretations
Right,
or
yeah.
strategic disagreements.
Right.
It was a critical intervention
Yeah.
that really prevented the movement from fracturing at a really vulnerable time.
It sounds like Baha'u'llah was emerging as a leader in his own right,
Yeah.
even if he wasn't officially the Bab's successor yet.
Right.
But this leadership didn't come without a price, though, did it?
No, it didn't.
I mean, he was also targeted by the authorities.
Of course, they recognized his growing influence.
Right.
And there's actually a story
Okay.
about the day that he was summoned to Tehran to face charges.
Okay.
And on that very day, he was supposed to be arrested.
Yeah.
News arrives that the Shah Muhammad Shah has died.
Oh, wow. Talk about a close call.
I know, right?
It's like destiny intervened. But a new Shah means
Yeah.
a new power dynamic.
Of
for his
course. The death of the Shah created this power vacuum,
reign. Yeah.
and the babies, who were wrongly perceived as a political threat,
Uh-huh.
got caught in the crossfire.
Okay.
The new Shah Nasiri Din Shah
Okay.
was heavily influenced by his Grand Vizier Mirza Taqi Khan,
Okay.
who saw the babies as dangerous and needing to be eliminated.
Because the situation for the babies goes from bad to worse.
Yeah.
What about the Bab himself?
Well, sadly, he was moved from prison to prison,
Okay.
subjected to interrogations, and just relentless pressure to recant his claims.
Wow.
But even in these really harsh conditions, his faith never wavered.
Wow.
In fact, there are accounts of him predicting his own execution.
He predicted his own death.
Yeah.
That's both chilling and powerful.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a story from Sayyid Hussein,
Okay.
who was a close follower of the Bab,
Okay.
and he describes visiting the Bab in prison during the winter,
Okay.
and it's freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
Very minimal comfort.
Right.
And despite all of this,
Yeah.
the Bab requests readings
Okay.
from a book recounting the martyrdom of Imam Hussein,
Okay.
who's a pivotal figure in Shia Islam.
Okay.
And as Sayyid Hussein reads,
Yeah.
the Bab weeps,
He weeps.
not for himself,
Oh, wow.
but for the suffering of his followers,
Wow.
particularly one he refers to as his beloved Hussein,
Okay.
who many believe is a reference to Baha'u'llah.
It's like he knew what was coming,
Yeah.
not just for himself, but for his followers and for the future of the movement.
Yeah, it's really profound.
But what ultimately led to his execution? Was it simply the political instability and the government's fear of rebellion?
Well, it was a combination of factors. You see, the Bab's teachings challenged the existing power structures on multiple levels.
Right.
The religious establishment felt threatened,
Yeah.
and the government, which was already dealing with this volatile political situation,
Right.
saw the Babis as potential instigators of unrest.
Okay.
So in their eyes, the Bab had to be silenced.
So what happened? How did the execution unfold?
The execution itself was really dramatic
Okay.
and highly symbolic.
Okay.
They brought the Bab to the main square in Tabriz,
Okay.
and a massive crowd gathered.
Okay.
And he was suspended by ropes in front of a firing squad.
Oh, wow.
But here's where the story takes this unexpected turn.
Okay.
The first volley of shots misses the Bab,
It misses.
completely misses him.
Wow.
The ropes are severed,
Okay.
and he disappears into a nearby room.
He vanishes. What's going on here?
It's a moment shrouded in mystery,
Yeah.
and it's open to interpretation.
Okay.
Some say it was a deliberate act of mercy by sympathetic soldiers.
Okay.
Others believe it was divine intervention. Whatever the explanation, it really adds another layer of intrigue to this already compelling story.
It's like something out of a movie.
Yeah,
I can imagine this would have really solidified the belief of his followers.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It seemed like a miracle.
Right.
Yeah.
So does he escape?
Sadly, no.
Okay.
They find him in the room,
Okay.
and they bring him back to the square.
Okay.
And this time, the soldiers carry out the execution,
Okay.
and the Bab is martyred.
Okay.
But his death, far from extinguishing the movement,
Right.
actually has the opposite effect.
Okay.
It galvanizes his followers
Okay.
and spreads his message even further.
So it's like the saying, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.
Exactly.
His death transforms him from this controversial religious figure
Yeah.
into a martyr for the cause,
Yeah.
a symbol of sacrifice and resistance.
Right.
So what happens to the Babby community after this?
Well,
Do they fall apart, or do
Uh-huh.
they find a way to carry on?
that's what's so incredible about the story.
And what about Baha'u'llah?
Well, this is where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
The Bab's death creates a void,
Yeah.
but it also paves the way for Baha'u'llah to step forward
Okay.
and guide the movement into its next chapter.
All right. So we're on the edge of our seats here.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, we'll delve into Baha'u'llah's rise to leadership,
Okay.
the challenges he faced,
Okay.
and how he shaped the Babi movement into what we now know as the Baha'i faith
All right.
in the final part of our deep dive.
I can't wait. All right. So we left off with the Bab's tragic execution
Yeah.
and this huge question mark hanging over the future of the Babby movement.
Right.
I mean, they've just lost their leader.
Yeah.
They're facing intense persecution.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think that would be the end of it,
You'd think so.
but
But that's what makes this story so remarkable.
right.
It really speaks to the resilience of faith, the power of belief to endure even in the face of unimaginable hardship.
Yeah. So how did the Bibis manage to not only survive,
Right.
but actually
But-
thrive
yeah.
after such a devastating blow?
Well, this is where Baha'u'llah steps in.
Okay.
While he wasn't officially named as the Bab's successor,
Okay.
he emerges as this natural leader,
Okay.
a guiding force during this time of immense turmoil.
But wasn't he also facing danger?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we talked about those close calls he had
Well,
with the
yeah.
authorities.
In fact, after the Bab's execution,
yeah.
Baha'u'llah is thrown into Tehran's infamous Siyah-Chal.
Sia Chow.
Yeah, it was the subterranean dungeon
Okay.
known for its brutal conditions.
Ah.
Prisoners were chained,
Yeah.
crammed into this dark,
Yeah.
filthy pit.
That's awful.
It's hard to imagine the suffering they endured.
So how does someone go from enduring this horrific experience
Right.
to leading a religious movement? What happened down there?
Well, this is where the story takes another really fascinating turn.
Okay.
It's during his imprisonment in the Siyah-Chal that Baha'u'llah undergoes this profound spiritual transformation.
Okay.
He describes having mystical experiences,
Oh, wow.
visions, revelations,
Yeah.
all while in this underground prison.
A spiritual awakening in the depths of a dungeon?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It really is.
Yes, sir.
It's these experiences
Yeah.
that really shape Baha'u'llah's understanding of the Bab's message.
Okay.
and provide the foundation for what will become the Baha'i Faith.
Okay.
He starts sharing these insights with fellow prisoners,
Okay.
with those who visit him,
Yeah.
and slowly a new understanding of the baby teaching starts spreading.
I can only imagine how powerful that must have been
Yeah.
for those who heard him.
Absolutely.
I mean, their leader is gone.
Right.
They're facing persecution.
Yeah.
And then Baha'u'llah emerges from this dark pit
Right.
with this message of hope and renewal.
Exactly. He really reframes the narrative.
Okay.
Instead of dwelling on the Bab's death as this defeat,
Right.
he presents it as a fulfillment of prophecy, a necessary sacrifice that paved the way for a new era.
That's amazing.
He shifts the focus from mourning to anticipation,
Okay.
from what was lost to what's to come.
Wow. That's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
So how does he go about transforming the Babi movement
Right.
into what we know today as the Baha'i Faith?
Well, it was a gradual process.
Okay.
Baha'u'llah emphasized that the Bab was the herald,
Okay.
the one who prepared the way for a greater manifestation.
Okay.
And he presents himself as that manifestation.
Yeah.
And this becomes a real turning point.
Yeah.
The Babi faith starts evolving.
Okay.
It moves beyond Shia Islam
Uh-huh.
and into a new independent religion
Okay.
with a universal message.
So I imagine not everyone just accepted this
Of course not.
new direction.
Yeah, there was resistance even
Ah.
from some prominent Babis who had been close to the Bab.
Wow. So what won people over?
Well, it was really a combination of things.
Okay.
Baha'u'llah's personality,
Okay.
his teachings,
Yeah.
his ability to unite this really fractured community.
What was it about him that resonated so deeply with people?
Baha'u'llah was known for his eloquence,
Okay.
his ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
His writings are full of these beautiful metaphors and imagery,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't just his words.
Yeah, right.
It was his actions.
Okay.
He lived what he preached.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. His teachings emphasized love,
Okay.
unity,
Yeah.
justice,
Okay.
the elimination of prejudice,
Okay.
the harmony of science and religion,
Okay.
the equality of men and women.
Wow.
These were really radical ideas for their time,
Yeah.
and they resonated deeply with those who were yearning for a more just
Yeah.
and peaceful world.
Yeah.
He wasn't just talking the talk, he
Huh.
was walking the walk.
Right.
He treated everyone with respect and kindness,
Yeah.
regardless of their social status or their beliefs.
Okay.
He was also known for his humility
Okay.
and his unwavering commitment to serving others.
It's like the saying goes,
Yeah.
people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His actions really spoke volumes.
Yeah.
And even when he's eventually released from prison
Okay.
and exiled first to Baghdad,
Okay.
then to the Ottoman Empire,
Okay.
exile doesn't silence him.
Oh, wow.
He continues writing,
Okay.
teaching,
Yeah.
attracting followers from around the world.
Wow.
His message really transcended borders and cultural differences.
So exile couldn't contain this movement.
Yeah.
What about the Babis who stayed in Persia?
Well, they faced a really difficult choice.
Yeah.
To either cling to the past
Yeah.
or embrace this evolving faith.
Right.
Many inspired by Baha'u'llah's leadership, his teachings became Baha'is.
Okay.
Others chose to remain babies,
Uh,
holding on to the memory of their beloved leader
Yeah.
and the original teachings.
right.
And sadly, many more continue to face persecution and martyrdom for their beliefs.
This entire journey has been one wild ride.
It is.
We've got stolen saddlebags,
Right.
daring escapes.
Yeah, I know.
Political intrigue.
Kinda crazy.
Tragic executions.
Yeah.
A faith that refused to be silenced.
It's incredible.
It's amazing how, through it all, this movement not only survived,
Right.
but evolved into something even bigger.
It really is what we've seen here.
Yeah.
Is the birth of a new religion. Its struggle for survival.
Yeah.
Its transformation.
Uh-huh.
And its impact on the lives of those who embraced it.
Yeah.
The story of the babies and the emergence of the Baha'i faith
Yeah.
is a testament to the enduring power of belief,
Right.
the resilience of the human spirit,
Mhm.
and that unwavering search for truth and meaning.
Well, this deep dive has definitely left me with a lot to think about.
Me too.
What allows a belief system to not only endure, but flourish,
All right.
even after its founder is gone? What's the secret ingredient?
It's a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's the power of the message itself,
Okay.
the resonance of its core principles, or maybe the unwavering faith of those who carry it forward.
Maybe it's a combination of all those things.
Yeah.
The charisma of the leader,
Yeah.
the message of hope, the community that forms around those beliefs,
Right.
the willingness to sacrifice everything for what you believe in.
Absolutely.
It's a complex and fascinating phenomenon.
It really is.
And while we've reached the end of our deep dive for today, the exploration doesn't have to end here.
Of course not.
To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through the early history of the Babi and Baha'i faiths.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some new insights,
Yeah.
a fresh perspective, and maybe even a few aha moments along the way.
That'll be great.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep questioning.
Keep learning.
And keep diving deep.
Absolutely.